not entirely sure that that can be classed as amigurumi, but what do I know? Hey everyone, it's Hannah and I am back and here ready to review week 5 of Game of Wool 5 and just give you a general recap. First off, we have a ring light. Apologies for the glare on my glasses. It's my first time using my ring light, so I'm still kind of working it out. I might have to do a bit of looking at tutorials on how to wear glasses with a ring light because I had them sort of propped up like this so I wouldn't get the glare. But I feel like they look really weird from the side, so I don't really know what to do about that. Apologies. I was meant to film this morning before we went out, but it's been so dark all day because of the rain, and I need to film this today because I can't film it tomorrow being Tuesday, because I've got the pickle all day. So I need to get this filmed and edited today so it can actually go up tomorrow. We are on week 5 of Game of Wool, and this week's theme was Texture Week. How exciting. I don't believe there's anything to catch you up on in the meantime, in between time. There's nothing that springs to mind that I can think of. No additional dramas appeared. So shall we just get straight into Texture Week? Now, of the original 10 knitters, there are only 6 left. This is week 5. There's 8 weeks in total. It is ending on the 21st of December. How terribly, terribly sad. And yeah, there's only 6 knitters left, which, I don't know, I feel like this is flying by. It's Christmas, folks. It's Christmas. Got the little penguin mug. It's festive season. I've done Vlogmas in previous years. I'm not doing Vlogmas this year, but if you follow me on Instagram, last year you might remember Daily Jam was a thing when I opened my Jam advent calendar. It's being a thing over on Instagram again this year. I don't know if that interests anyone. So the solo challenge for Textured Week, you had 12 hours. The theme was a little bit of amigurumi. Now, I don't fully know if it is amigurumi or not. To me, amigurumi is very cutesy, but maybe that is just because I haven't actually looked up what the definition of amigurumi is. But they had to make their favourite dish, their favourite food. They had to make it look as realistic as possible. You could knit, you could crochet, you could mix the two, and you had to consider the proportions of the food, so everything was the right size on your plate. And they wanted to see a range of textured stitches to make the food look as realistic as possible. I've got a little note here saying brackets, I like Lydia's jumper. I might have to message Lydia and find out what the jumper pattern is because I really like her jumper. I also really like Holger's. Was it a jumper or was it a tank top? Can't remember. Isaac is making a bagel filled with egg, bacon, something else, cheese, with everything seasoning on. Delicious. I love bagels. I love a bagel. He's using short rows to create the round shape, which is amazing. And he's put magnets in the bagel so they kind of snap together. Very, very clever. He's doing a mixture of knitting and crochet, which is fun to see. I like the idea of short rows on the bagel to make it rounded. I think that's very, very clever and shows different techniques because, I don't know, I feel like we need a few different techniques like that in this show just to make it a bit more interesting to knitters. Ailsa is making a beef Sunday roast. It's got Yorkshire puddings, it's got potatoes, it's got beef. Delicious. Everything is crochet apart from the potatoes, which are knitted because that is what you need to get the smooth potato of a roast potato. Oh, I love a Sunday roast. I often choose beef if I'm having a Sunday roast. We don't have a roast as often anymore. For one, Mario works every Sunday, and 2, he's vegetarian, so you can't really cook a joint for one person. Sad. I miss when he wasn't vegetarian sometimes. Holger is doing ramen, which is a great idea. He's crocheting noodles. He's using beads for the sesame seeds on his noodles. He's thought quite hard about this, and he's doing different coloured noodles, so it creates a bit of depth. He shows that he creates a sort of flat to go in the bowl first, so he doesn't have to fill the whole bowl. He's got a flat bit in the bowl first, so he can just pile on top of it. Ramen, I think, is a really good idea. Really smart. Tracy is doing seafood pasta. She's only doing UK double crochet, US single crochet for all of the elements, which feels a little bit basic, especially for week 6. But when you look at a lot of amigurumi, it is just done in UK double crochet, US single crochet. So maybe that's what she was going off of. Or, I don't know, maybe this is just what she wanted to do. But it does feel a little bit basic in comparison to what a lot of the other people are doing. Lydia is doing pie and mash, but East London pie and mash. So she's got 2 pies, 3 little lumps of mash, and then liquor. She also says she's going to be doing individual peas, which is wild. Individual peas. That is wild. So if you're not from London or you're not from England and you're confused why they were talking about liquor with pie and mash, it is a Cockney classic. It's an East London staple. Often a beef pie, but you know, eel pie was also a thing. I think that's much less common now. And liquor is a parsley sauce, kind of like a gravy. Can't say I've ever tried it myself, but it does look very tasty. Simon is once again winging it, but like a planned winging it, which I do prefer. I have commented in previous weeks that I kind of hate the fact he's winging it because it feels like he's not taking the competition as seriously, but he is doing a fry up. Love a fry up. And he is choosing to do freeform crochet for the bacon, which actually pays off really, really well. Spoiler alert. It pays off really, really well. I like that he kind of thought ahead to when he did his freeform crochet, and so the bacon wasn't just flat, it had texture, it was lumpy bumpy, and it had fat distributed through it and all of that. It looked really good. He has also chosen a combination of knit and crochet for his dish. I noted that the Sirdar labels were shown of the yarn that they were using, and I didn't know if there were kits coming out for these, but no, there is not. They've done a kit for the group challenge, not for the solo challenge. Sirdar haven't. Wool and the gang have, but I wondered if there would be kits. When it came to them putting everything all together, I think Isaac should have used seed beads as the seeds. It looked like that he was doing French knots or maybe just embroidering. I think if he'd have used seed beads, 1, a lot faster, and 2, a lot more effective. Maybe he didn't know you could use beads, but that's personally what I would use. But that's also because I bead. I've written Holger is just really good, likely winner. I think watching this show, it's fair to say everyone is quite good, but Holger's just kind of in a different league. And it could be because of he has design background, which just naturally lends itself really well to this kind of competition. And also, he's just really good. It does look like he is probably going to be the winner. And I always find that these shows are a little bit boring when there is a clear winner. I feel like it's a much more interesting to watch when you're not quite sure who's going to win, or you think, ooh, they're really, really good. And then at the last minute, either they mess up or someone else does better or something. It is just a little bit boring when there is a clear winner throughout the whole show and you're like, cool, well, that was predictable. But maybe that's just me that thinks that. When it comes to the judging, I think Isaac's looks really, really good. They say that the bacon's a bit flat and it is the wrong colour, but I like that the bagel comes in half and I like that it's all sort of straight. The short row shaping paid off really, really well and took quite a lot of maths to engineer that, so I really, really like it. With Lydia's, the judges said that the pies were great. They liked that they had a good crust on them. The peas were great. She stuffed individual peas, which is wild, but the mash was not so great. She chose to crochet the mash, which might have been a mistake. Maybe knitting the mash would have been better, and then she brushed it to make them fluffy. But sort of a scoop of mash isn't by nature fluffy in that way. Maybe knitting it would have been better, but you know, it's impossible to know. Simon did really, really well as well. They loved the texture of the bacon. They thought it looked really realistic. And I've written, winging it has paid off. Planned winging it, which is what I mentioned earlier with the shape of the freeform crochet. It's just worked out really well. With Tracy's, they said it's a little bit basic. I've written, yeah, basic. Is that from The Good Place? Do they say that in The Good Place? Mario and I say it to each other all the time. It must be from the good place. I think it is. And the pasta's much too big. It is too big. I think it's really, really cute. It would be cute as like play food, but they were going for like realism, and I don't think it looks real enough. And for texture week, it was all a bit one note. Ailsa's I thought looked really, really good, but once again, it would have been good for play food. They mentioned that she is a perfectionist, and all of her stuff does look really good, but for something organic as food, it was just a little bit too good. I loved her gravy jug. I thought her gravy jug looked really good. I wish they'd spent a bit more time focused on that, or at least shown it a bit more in the episode, because I thought it was good. I thought it was a great idea. I'm looking around my room because I've lost my shawl that I wear all the time in the winter. It's my Mild Magic shawl by Stephen West, and I wear it all the time, and I don't know where it's gone, and it's driving me up the wall. I thought it might be in here, but I'm not seeing it, but that's what I'm looking around for. I'm distracting myself. I've written, Holger smashed it. That's because he did. He produced he got some wire and crocheted around the wire, and then made some loops so he could put chopsticks through. So it was like a 3D illusion that chopsticks were holding the noodles. He's just a very clever man, isn't he? His brain just works in a really good way. But apparently he has a design degree, so yeah, useful that, isn't it? Really useful. But he smashed it. It was great. The details on the prawns and stuff, lovely. As always, I wish that we got shown a little bit more, but I think what I actually want is it in front of me so I can take the time to properly look through it myself, but realistically that's never going to happen. We're going on to the group knit, and they are in 3 groups of 2. We have Tracy and Isaac, we have Holger and Ailsa, and then we have Lydia and Simon. They are paired together. They have to make a slouchy cardigan, very textured slouchy cardigan, sorry. They've been given the basic pattern, that's where your basic came in. They've been given the basic pattern. It says you need a minimum of 3 stitch techniques. They ask for really good stitch definition, and they have 10 hours to do this. They can only choose one colour in the yarn barn. I believe the yarn is from Wool and the Gang because they have come out with a kit of one of the designs. It's kind of like a chunky roving yarn, which we all know is every knitter's favourite and wears really well. It does not wear well. It really does not wear well at all. I saw that they had access to a stitch dictionary, if not an actual stitch dictionary, then just like pages of stitches that they could refer to, which is good, but at the same time would have been nice to like see them come up with it off the top of their head. But at the same time, I get it. It's a high pressure situation. You gotta help them where you can. And in Bake Off, they have the outlines of a recipe, so I guess it's a similar thing. Holger and Ailsa choose to do something a little bit different. Everyone else is knitting the cardigan in 5 pieces. So you've got the back, 2 front panels, and then 2 arms. And Holger suggests engineering it differently. So they cast on at the sleeve, and they knit up the sleeve, and then they do like a T shape and knit the front and the back, and then they seam up under the sleeve and down the middle, and then join it up at the back. That must be it. Isaac loves intarsia and colour work so much, and he is penned in by only being able to use one colour, that he's using a technique akin to intarsia, where you use reverse stocking stitch to make a design out of plain stocking stitch. So it's kind of a textured smiley face. I've written, I didn't think there would be enough texture on it. I was correct. Spoiler alert. I didn't think there would be enough texture on it to appease the judges. So I just thought, not that interesting. And they're doing bubble stitches on the sleeves, and they've got some cables on it as well. Lydia and Simon, they've got some cables where the ribbing is, and then they've got big cables at the front and the back. I thought that's only 2 stitches, you need 3. They've added some eyelets in, which I think was a good move. Holger and Ailsa made a big old boo-boo. Oh, I just want to make it known that they said no mistakes for the group knit. No mistakes. I just want that known. No mistakes. The judges said this. They wanted to see no mistakes. Holger made a big mistake when he was grafting together the front and the back pieces. He grafted them together using a Kitchener stitch, and because obviously you don't have the luxury of time, you're just kind of getting it done. They'd each done a really overall textured cardigan. It looked really good. Holger sewed it together wrong. So half of it was inside out and the other half was outside in. And a bit of a disaster, a little bit stressful. But obviously by that point, they couldn't unpick the Kitchener stitch. They just had to roll with it. And que sera, sera. The judges loved the mistake. Of course they did. They said maybe it was intentional. Of course it's not intentional. Why would you think it was intentional? Why would you think it's intentional? You would never think it's intentional. They loved the mistake. They were like, maybe they did that so it would be reversible. Who's doing that? You said no mistakes. Speaking of no mistakes, Tracy, who had never done a bubble stitch before, completely messed up the bubble stitch. I was going to not use that word just then. Completely messed up the bubble stitch, bless her. And didn't actually pick up the stitches that she dropped. I don't actually know, I'd not done a bubble stitch before, but you drop a stitch and you pick it up a few rows. I don't know. She did something very, very wrong. So there was a bunch of live stitches, like a bunch of drop stitches sticking out of the sleeve. Not great. They also commented that the smiley face was not enough texture, which I did think. They really liked Lydia and Simon's cardigan. I mean, I'm biased because I really like the colour that they chose, which is a big sway for me. But I thought the cables all over were beautiful. It did look great in that yarn, I won't lie. The stitch definition was wonderful. They did like the eyelet effect, but they said that because the cables pull it in and then they put the eyelets in, it makes it balloon. And I've written, eyelets wouldn't make it balloon if it was blocked. If they had time to block these cardigans, the eyelets would have just fit in perfectly, but they do not have time to block these cardigans. Therefore, they are commenting on things which shouldn't be an issue if they had time to block it. You're judging an unblocked cardigan. Come on. Come on. Lydia and Simon's was the only cardigan that actually didn't have a mistake on it. They did not win this challenge. Holger and Ailsa won the challenge. They loved the mistake, even though they said no mistakes. I chatted to Lydia while the show was on and she was like, I was fuming. I was like, in all fairness, I would be too. They said no mistakes and they picked a cardigan with a huge mistake on it. In all fairness, at the time that they picked it, they didn't think it was a mistake, but it's like, of course it was a mistake. Of course it was a mistake. Come on, Di and Sheila, come on. Oh, Di had knitting needles in her hair again. Very fun. Big knitter of the week was Holger. Again, for the second time. And Tracy was cast off, sadly, after the massive boo-boo of having dropped stitches on the sleeve. And then her first solo challenge was a little bit basic. Plain. I don't know. Everyone else's was a little bit more jazzy. She got cast off, which is sad because I like Tracy. She was really nice and she had a great selection of Stephen West shawls. So sad times by Tracy. And then there were 5. Next week is jewellery week. So I'm guessing they're doing some knitting and crocheting with wire. We see a little clip that Simon's going to be doing a bit of Viking knitting, which is fun. Another technique that we haven't seen. And I don't know anything about Viking knitting, so I'm very excited to see that. Hopefully they actually talk about it because I would like to learn something new. This is when they don't talk about it and I'm just going to have to Google. And also they're making a lampshade using lace. Lydia cries in this clip, so I'm a little concerned. Yes, I'm quite excited for next week. Wool and the Gang have come out with a kit, a pattern and kit for Tracy and Isaac's cardigan. I'm just going to double check to see if they say that if the design is compensated, because I did forget to check that. The knitters will receive profits from the sales of their patterns and are free to use their patterns as they wish once the series has fully transmitted, is what they have pinned underneath the reel. From what I understand about this is the knitters will receive profits from the sales of their patterns, which means they will receive next to nothing from these companies for using their patterns. I don't think there's anything else that I can think of to say. Did you enjoy this episode? Let me know, are you inspired to make some food, knit or crochet some food? I'm very much not in the slightest, but that's fine. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the episode if you watched it. And if you don't have anything to say, please feel free to leave a food emoji in the comments down below. Let me know that you watched this far, be part of an exclusive club. Yes, I'm just going to make it known that I'm choosing not to comment on what the judges and Tom are wearing, although I did quite like Tom's cardigan, but it's not anything that I would ever wear ever. But I'm purposely choosing not to comment on what anyone is wearing because it's none of my business. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you would like to see more from me. I post a video every single Friday usually, and then we've got these ones whilst Game of Wool is on, and maybe after Game of Wool is on I'll keep going with Tuesday uploads. I just need to be a bit more organised with my videoing. I really want to get to 100,000 subscribers, so if you could help me get there, that would be delightful, but no pressure if not. And with all that being said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being wonderful, and thank you for being you, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye.